Hey guys, Dustin Witt.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and you're listening to Bat Force Radio, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to Bat Force Radio. We have back in our midst this week, taking an evening off from elbowing his way through every convention in America. We've got Dunk.
What up?
And this week's guest has previously joined us to discuss everything from feline burglars to cocaine-powered supervillains. This week, she is back to discuss October's Barbarella #1 from Dynamite Comics. Author, screenwriter, Canadian, beloved by Sam Jackson, Blake Northcott.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Thank you for coming back. It's been a busy summer. We thank you for making the time to do it.
Of course. I always like coming back and chatting with you, and we'll get all caught up.
For sure, for sure. How's your summer been so far, speaking of?
It's been really busy. For me, because my kids are off from school, obviously, so it feels like a roller coaster sometimes. A lot of shuffling schedules. Everybody's, got to be somewhere. So it's like I'm Uber mom, Uber driving everybody around, and planning, vacations. And actually, in a week and a half, I'm heading off to Paris. So I'm very excited about that. And but it's been really good. Hot as heck here in Canada. I'm still not used to like going through almost 3 or 4 weeks where it feels like 35, 40 degrees. I feel like I'm much more of a snow bunny. That's where I feel comfortable in the snow.
So wait a minute. So for this show, I'm the outsider.
Yeah. You will feel very out of place. It occurred to me when she said the temperature, 35, which for me, it's funny because I live right on the border of Detroit. So I grew up watching Detroit news. So I operate kind of 60-40 on Fahrenheit.
Oh.
So I still notice when someone uses Celsius, like, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be using.
Right. So you're doing the opposite. I'm the one who's here talking that way. And then when I talk to anyone in the States, they're like, what is that? What's that temperature? I don't even know.
Well, I've done my best over the years to kind of turn down the volume on my boots.
Yes.
Specifically because of, like people like Sean pointing it out. But I don't know how prominent my boots are anymore.
Mine are awful. So don't make fun of me because they pop out anytime I say anything. So I'm going to try and not say the word, but it'll come out. I know it.
Yeah, it works. So as I mentioned in the beginning, you just at San Diego, they revealed Barbarella from Dynamite Comics with Anna Morozova. Now, first off, as someone who knows almost nothing about the character, for my benefit and anyone else who hasn't read or watched any Barbarella in the past, what should new readers expect from this comic?
Okay, well, for me as well, like Barbarella is such an iconic name. I feel like we all know her. We've seen images, mostly I think from the Jane Fonda movie, right? Like who can forget these incredible Jane Fonda outfits? She was rocking these incredible, silver dresses, and it was such an icon, like I want to say part of the iconographic kind of landscape there for pop culture. And we've all kind of seen and integrated Barbarella through that lens, I think. And it was such a cool time when this movie came out in 1968. So it was that 60s, 70s trippy sci-fi adventure time. And this movie was actually the head of the retro futurism movement in Europe at the time. So, you know, it was that psychedelic, she was a sex symbol. They had the really cool set designs. Everyone remembers, I would say even the music was really influential. And it had this classic camp style. And I thought that was one of the coolest things about it. Um, and yeah, so when Dynamite approached, and said, "Would you be interested in writing Barbarella?" I was like, "Of course." She's such an iconic figure, and I love that. Um, so definitely, now with the new series, Barbarella has been through a lot in her previous adventures, so she is now deciding to take Vix, who is like her sidekick companion, on a vacation on a mysterious pleasure planet known as Planet V. And she soon discovers that the world is used for entertainment, where visitors are forced to perform for the entire galaxy to watch. So we will also have, subplots where some series regulars will return for the hardcore fans. So I don't want to give away too much, but there's going to be a lot of fun adventures going forward. And I think this is a great jumping off place for people who don't know much about the character, to come on in and have a fun ride with the new series.
And the artist Anna Morozova, how did
Yes.
you link up with her? Have you worked with her in the past? Did she come from Dynamite?
So Anna is a European artist, and she worked on Judge Dredd with 2000 AD over in the UK. And she has such an incredible. Oh, there's our picture. You can see. I have to tell you a story about that picture. So last year at New York Comic Con, we knew we were working on the series, and it was already in progress. So we had like a day when we were both going to be overlapping there at the same time. And we thought, okay, we have to meet up and get a picture together. We're going to do this. So we're running through Artist Alley. And she had this idea of like, let's hold up a blank like board and pretend that, it's our cover. And then when the book comes out, we can superimpose the cover as if you're holding it, right?
Yeah.
So they picked this picture to put out, and they didn't put the cover in my hand. So here I am, like I look like Vanna White. Like, here's Anna, like.
And I present.
That's exactly what I thought you were doing in the photo.
Yeah.
Exactly. This makes no sense unless you know the backstory. Anyway, I think it's funny. But anyway, that's how we met last year, and we've been working together. She has such a cool style. Like, her work comes back and just looks like so fluid. The movements are fluid. She's got this really graceful way that she draws. The action poses look incredible. The hair is all like flowing and whipping around her. I love the way that she draws. So yeah, I'm just having a great time working on it with her, and I think she's so talented, and I'm excited for this. Is like her first North American book that's going to be launching, and she's thrilled with it. So yeah, it's exciting.
And Dynamite, how did you originally come together with working with Dynamite Comics?
So years ago, I actually worked with them, and did a Vampirella story, like a backup story for Halloween special, which was so much fun. And that was back, I think, 2018. So it's been a while where we've been looking for a book to come together on. And this one has been on my radar for a while. And it's interesting, actually, because the timing never came together before, but now it has. So I was just thrilled to be a part of it. And it's weird because when they first asked me to do it, Sydney Sweeney had just been announced in the press to be associated with producing and starring in the film adaptation of this. And back then, I think it was like a year and a bit ago. I mean, she was still popular from Euphoria and a couple of other movies, but she wasn't a huge like household name. So over the past year that we've been working on the book behind the scenes, we've been watching Sydney Sweeney's star just take off. She's everywhere now, and it's been really interesting to watch and so exciting because I think with the success of her films, she was in Anyone But You, and that was a massive worldwide hit. And the way that she's portrayed in the media, I really think she is such a great parallel to Barbarella in so many ways. Just, she was on SNL and did a hilarious skit. She likes to poke fun at herself. She has fun. She did like I want to say like a Hooters joke or something, a Hooters skit that was so funny. She was making fun of herself. And I just think that she is so confident, and really also she's so influential within the fashion industry. When she's on the red carpet, like everybody takes note. And within, I would say, like women in their 20s 30s, they really like look to her for fashion status and as an icon. So I can see so many parallels between her and the character for sure.
Oh, I'm actually like trying to do research because I'm like I was looking at the writer Anna, or the illustrator Anna. I'm like, oh, like yeah, and which so is she gonna be on the main cover? Is she doing any other covers besides just the interiors?
She's doing, I think one of them so far for the first book is hers. And then they have like 4 other variant covers that are coming out. And they got even a cosplayer, Rachel Holland, who I guess her name is Faces by Rachie. She did an excellent cover as well, which is going to be
There
one
it
of
is
them.
right now.
Yeah. I love that pink, what is it, like a lizard skin pink, kind of like disc. She looks like she's in some futuristic disco. I'm like, that looks so cool. So yeah, it's a really fun character. And I love that, there's all the camp and kind of, she's just this really, like, she's got a heart of gold. I love that this character is so, I kind of want to say she's like Alice in Wonderland, but more whimsical, and she's a super, nice person, and things kind of happen around her. Like, it seems like they happen to her when she's on these, missions and space odyssey adventures. And she's also sexy. She has all these like sexy adventures. I love everything about her.
When it,
So you mentioned, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, like when it comes to like the variant covers, because I know we live in this comic community now that loves, and like everyone loves different variant covers. And are there any artists that you're looking forward to working with when it comes to these covers going forward?
Oh my gosh, this is the type of question where it's like there's so many artists, out there that are incredible that I would love to work with. But then if you start listing them, then I'm going to be here all day, and then I'm going to talk about 5 people, and then they're going to be like, you didn't mention me.
Because sometimes like certain styles are fitting to a character.
That's true.
So you have like, I don't know, I'm looking at this character, and I think like Nathan Zerdy or Natalie Sanders.
Yeah.
Frank Cho.
Yeah, Frank Cho, Jenny Frison. Like, oh my God, look at the
Adam Hughes.
Joelle Jones would be
Oh yeah.
an incredible one. I mean, obviously we all love Sean's work. He would be amazing too.
Oh, hands down.
There's just so many. But yeah, like being able to see the different interpretations of her from, the different artists is exciting too. But yeah, I would love Adam Hughes. I mean, oh my God, that'd be incredible.
I could talk to him tomorrow at the show that I'm at.
Do it. Do it.
Could definitely bring it up.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't talked to him in a little while. I should reach out and be like, hey, do you want to do this? But yeah, no, it's really fun, and I love seeing all the different covers come in. So yeah, it's an exciting book to be working on. And I think the mandate here is kind of to get back to the original comic and film kind of idea, that sexy, psychedelic fun. So that's what we're going with. And yeah, I just hope everybody loves it.
So is this going to be a mini series, maxi? Is it planned as an ongoing? What's the idea?
So I think to start, it's 6 to 8 issues, and the first one comes out October the 2nd, I believe, is the day when it'll be in stores. But I think the FOC date is later this month, August 19th, I think. So
I have, just for if it helps anyone, the FOC date I have listed at Diamond here is September 9th.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So we
Great.
might have a little bit more time.
Okay, awesome. Well, the more people that hear about it and are excited, then that's all I can hope for. So, I mean, if I can do more than, the 6 to 8 to start, then I would, but we'd have to see. I'm working on a novel and a screenplay too, so it's crazy right now, but I'm just loving getting into this character for sure.
So you mentioned that you've been working on the book for some time now. How long have you had to work on it, and is it preferable having that kind of time to work on it, or do you kind of feel like you end up spinning your wheels?
Um, well, it's been going on. I'm trying to think back. At least I would say over a year, maybe a year and a half. We've been. It's kind of not linear either because it's like months of meetings going back and forth, and then you know how publishing works. It's very they have to talk to the IP rights holders, so there's like different levels you kind of have to take everything through. Um, but I am loving, being able to work on it with Anna, and she like the way her art pages come in too, they're so fully done and rendered. Like she doesn't have like sketches. She has fully complete art, and she does, the coloring on it herself as well. So I think that giving the artist the time to do that, and she like, they come in looking like, I want to say like paintings. There was a couple of, I'm writing towards her strengths as well because she has so many incredible strengths. And I got a splash page back and I thought, oh my gosh, this could be a poster. Like it just is so perfect. I love it. So seeing pages like that come back in is so exciting when you're working on a book together. And yeah, sorry, I forget the question here was how long. I'm not rushing the process. It's been a while, but I'm absolutely loving it. And because she's so detail oriented, I feel like we're a good fit that way. And we're just, it's coming in great.
So how far has this allowed you to write ahead? Like, just out of curiosity, what issue approximately are you working on now?
So I'm trying to think where I am right now. Right now, I think we're on um, three ahead, and yeah, so it's definitely coming along, and she's fairly quick with her art, so I don't think it's going to be any problem getting it out. And we always have conversations back and forth about edits, and a lot of that you can do more in the lettering stage for the script writing and stuff. But yeah, it's working as part of a collaborative team when you work on any, especially an IP where there's multiple people that have to like sign off on each step along the way who want their say. It's not only my IP. So um, having those kind of people that I have to like check in with, I have to be cognizant too about like this character is an existing IP. I want to be careful to make sure that I'm true to all the fans before, and we want to make sure that it's on brand for the character.
Yeah, it's a character that there's a long history of comics for.
Yeah.
And with that much history, are there any particular eras or creators from the years that you maybe took particular inspiration from?
Hmm. I would say mostly from the original. I feel like they've kind of given me that. So like, okay, here's an example. When any like beloved IP has been around for decades, there's inevitably going to be, I would say, evolution, right? There's new creators who come in and try different things. I mean, we've seen this over and over again with like Star Wars, Star Trek, um, Predator. I mean, the Terminator franchise. Look, the list goes on and on. But I feel like when you're changing tone or style, it can freshen things up for sure, but you're always kind of in danger maybe of going too far off track. And that's the great thing about, I mean, fans, they'll always let you know when you've either moved too far away from the source material, like if you're drifting or, so whether they let you know that, I think is good because whether the feedback is positive, I mean, or negative, but hopefully it's positive, but it's always a sign that people care, right? When no one is talking about an IP, I think that's the death rattle because the apathy is kind of like the worst reaction you could have. So, I feel like the mandate here was just to get back to the original comic and film with that vibe, back to the 60s. That's, sexy, psychedelic fun of the original series. So that's what we're doing.
I think, yeah, like if that's what you go back to. I think that's the fresh idea we currently need now. Um, it's like because something from the '60s that was futuristic, and here we are in the future. Um,
Mhm.
if you could like, you could like be kind of campy and funny about it, but still like be futuristic and have like an adventurous aspect to it. Even like the one panel, like this one page that Robin you keep on showing, she's like sleeping with this alien, or like just laying there with alien. I'm just like, I can't wait to get to that page to see what the hell is going on.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's a lot of funny bits. I'm trying to do it in the campy style with, like you said, that 60s, 70s vibe, but also put a little spin on it to make it, so modern readers can still connect to what the content is and connect to the story. So that's the goal. But yeah, it's fun for sure. It's
One
not.
of the details. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the details I like in the page that Dave mentioned, I put it up again here, is the TVs in the background in the room. It's sort of that old school
Wood.
CRT kind of TV, and it's black and white screen. So that's really fitting for the roots of the character. Having that kind of vintage look. It looks like they're still in that age.
Right. And it looks like the bedpost, now that I look at it, they're like big nipples behind her on the bed.
They certainly, yeah, I hadn't noticed that.
Okay, like I'm just now that I'm looking at it in more detail.
I wasn't thinking about it like that either. But
Right.
okay,
Here we
now I'm
go.
there.
Yeah. No, like I let Anna really, she comes up with some really great conceptual ideas as well, and I'm letting her have fun. I won't give away too much, but there's one part where we wanted to have a sequence where Barbarella got into a bunch of like different outfits. So I wrote it that way so that she could come up with like, a couple of different outfits that she got to draw her in, which I think is really funny. And it just, lets her flex her muscles a little bit and come up with some of her own ideas for how she wants her to look. And yeah, it's really fun. I don't know. It's like just a fun book to write.
Are there any other characters from that era or others that working on this has sort of made you think, maybe I could do something with that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I really like this era of going back to the 60s, 70s. And there's a show actually this summer that I've been watching like continually is the Twilight Zone episodes. There's a lot of them that I had never seen originally, and I don't know why, but I just started watching them and really getting into them. Um, and I really find that the writing, you can see like so many things where Rod Serling is the guy who does the initial narrator, but he was also a writer on many of the episodes, and he was so ahead of his time. He's the original creator of Twilight Zone, and I just remember like when you watch some of these episodes, so many other shows and movies and novels and different forms of media have all based themselves off of these stories. And, there's so many examples of almost every modern show from X-Files to Lost that based stories on it. And even the way it came out, the anthology type of storytelling, the way that like Black Mirror has, copied that type of format. So I just thought that was really interesting. I'd love to do something with the Twilight Zone kind of vibe. Obviously I would also love to do anything in double O, if I could write a 007 book, that would be amazing. But there's tons of different and that's also another one that goes back to like, 60s, 70s, 80s. I love all those kind of iconic. I love these eras to kind of play in.
I'm curious about that cat. I'm sorry. I'm looking at one cover. I'm like,
Oh, that's on the front. Yeah, that's Vic.
yeah, because we should also see like the cat in this one scene, like cat in water. The cat in the water, like kind of like drowning, and I'm like, okay. How, as you said, we were talking about like having another character in there.
Yeah.
Man, the cats and everything that Robin's showing. So let's discuss a little bit about the cat. A lot of people love cats, especially when you bring them in the comic book world. It becomes like this thing that people like to follow.
Yeah, well, Vix is the name of that cat-looking character, and is actually from a race of aliens. So it's like an alien being kind of, and I love, like you said, I love having another form or something that the main character can bounce ideas off of, and she ends up having a lot of adventures with Vix. So that ends up being, I don't want to give away the spoiler too much, but it definitely ends up being a big part of the story. And they've actually been in other comics and movies, they've actually been revealed to be the architects of the universe. So she has her own one as a pet, but there's like a whole race of them. Yeah, it's an interesting, I mean, when you're dealing with sci-fi and fantasy, it's so fun because you get to explore all these concepts and ideas. And obviously, this one that she has is the only non-evil one. Hers is like the good one of the bunch. And I think that's a really funny idea as well. But Vix has become a fan favorite, and that's why you see on the cover there. It's a big part of the story as well. So I had to include her.
And yeah, like Dave mentioned, you throw, even though it's not technically a cat, you throw a
Right.
cat in something, and that's going to get extra points with a lot of people.
Yeah, it's the same idea. I mean, having a pet or another source, we all love cats, and
Do we though?
But the one thing you have to watch out for, though, like speaking as someone who has heard feedback on Tony Fleek's and Trish Forstner's Feral comic, you do not kill the cats.
Right.
Nobody wants you have to protect the cats.
Yes, of course, as they should be.
Now, not to change subjects too much, but I want to make sure we don't forget to mention something here. Would you like to talk about the Omega artifact?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of fun. So one thing I should go, if we're talking about that, I should back it up a little bit, is just say, like, last year, what I spent most of the year promoting and working on was within my North Valley Grimoire universe. And having the North Valley comic come out was what I was promoting. And that was such a fun, unique, to write the novel and then have the comic series come out after was really cool for me, because in my mind, when I'm writing, I see so much of it as unfolding like I would in a movie, right? So then when I get to write the comic, I'm like, oh, I can just go crazy here and just like tell the artist to like include all this really crazy stuff. And it was so much fun. I loved that. I haven't done that before, where I wrote the novel first and then I've had a chance to do the comic right after. So that was, so much fun. And the trade will be coming out later in the fall. So all the floppy issues are done, and then we'll have the trade, I believe it's in November, coming out. Sorry, I don't have the date with me, but that was just an incredible, super fun thing to work on. And I was so lucky because Sean actually did one of the covers for me, which was, just blew up. So many people loved his cover. So of course they should. It was epic. And it was so funny when I was talking to him about doing it, because I was like, okay, this is going to be hard because I'm pretty demanding. Like, there's a lot of stuff you have to get into this cover. Like, there has to be a monster. There has to be, the school, a cool car. Like, I had a list of a checklist, and he just nailed it. So, he's a phenomenal artist. So I was just thrilled with that. But yeah, speaking of, variant covers, we had a million really cool variants come out for that. And I'm still getting a lot of exciting feedback from, people who've been reading along and loving the series. And I love getting that when I get the feedback from people and they're tagging me in their posts, like, oh, I love this scene, or this panel really blew my mind. And I just love that. Sorry, I'm just rambling here.
No,
No,
well, I don't know if you noticed, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And it has to be rewarding to see your own works being adapted like this as well.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's not just comic fans that that are contributing to the fandom of it, but you're spreading into that whole other audience, which if we're honest, it's really a small percentage of people that are checking out the comics that we all spend our time on.
Right.
Anything that's getting adapted is going to reach a far larger audience.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you spend so much time, like blood, sweat, and tears to go into building a whole universe like this. I mean, it's been a huge chunk of my life. When you work on something in different genres of it as well, between like novels and getting to do like the comic. And now I'm actually, I have another TV series that's even related to it. I just can't really talk about it very much, but I'm working on that as well, which is in conjunction with the same kind of universe. So it's like when you can see it unfold in so many different iterations, it's just very rewarding as a creator. And hopefully I just want everyone else to, jump into the universe and love it as much as I do. So getting to do that, it just is the best thing ever. It's like so exciting. I love it.
So for fans of the comic going into the adaptation, is this adapting the comic or telling a new story in the world? Well, what's the situation?
Well, so the novel is the original like source material, and that is really like a deep dive into the world building aspects of the entire universe, right? So if you want to really get in deep to everything with all the details, then the novel would be where to start. But a lot of people, like you're saying, if you're just interested in more of the artistic elements and the action beats, that's what I had to lean into to do the comic, because it's based on the novel, but I did have to add some new details and elements so that it would be able to translate to this medium of comics. And it was super fun. I mean, it's so like liberating when you don't have any constraints in terms of money for, I can make a helicopter scene here, and it doesn't matter how much it costs. Like, it's not like in the world of film where you're like, okay, we can't have a helicopter scene here because we don't have an extra $1 million to spend, right? So you can just let your imagination go wild. And I really did that with a lot of the action throughout the series. And I did it also more from the male lead's perspective, which is Agent Malik. So it would be a little bit more spy based. So they're both like, there's the Agent Malik is my version of like a 007, and he's in the novel as well. And there's also a girl named Callista, and she's kind of investigating things on the side, but she's more in high school. So in the comic, I lean into more of it from Agent Malik's perspective. So it's a little bit more like a spy action sequences.
Okay. And is there any kind of estimated timeline? Do you even have a notion of that yet, when people could expect to see something produced?
Well, so in terms of the comics, you can get the floppies. They've already come out. I think the trade is coming out in November, as far as I remember, but I have to look up the date, sorry. And in terms of other things going forward, I mean, it's still in development, so I wouldn't have anything that I could talk about for that yet. I'm hoping in the next, if things take off and go quickly, then I'm hoping I can share more, in the next couple of months. That would be great. But, when you're working in Hollywood, I don't know. I don't want to, say anything too much before I've, done more of the behind the scenes contracts and stuff like that.
No.
But yeah, no, it's really exciting, and I'm just hoping it all, will come together, and I'm having a great time doing it. And I'm working with, absolutely incredible, talented people that, when you meet someone and you just really feel like you're on the same wavelength. I really feel like that is what's going on right now, and it's upping my game, and I'm really getting to flex my creativity and those creative writing muscles, being able to jump from novels, comics, and into screenwriting. So I'm having a great time doing that.
And in particular, so North Valley Grimoire, the comics came out through Massive, the comic division of the publishing division of Whatnot, and they've been a really, like for a lot of people, a surprisingly large force in comics now. Moving over to the publishing thing after being, I think what most people know Whatnot for is for the online, the live streaming comic sales and signing from artists. It's been a really great thing for a lot of creators. But now diving into just publishing their comics themselves, like North Valley Grimoire was there. They did Sean's Zorro. What has it been like working with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really great. So I was editor-in-chief there for about a year, starting in June of 2023. Had an amazing time. The team is so passionate about comics. I love that they have so many great ideas. And we got to work on, like my series with North Valley, but then, having Sean's Zorro and the Plot Holes, they were both like huge successes. And, the guys just have so much enthusiasm. And I love that. And, right now I'm actually moving into a new position, which is along the same lines and in an editorial capacity, but it's with a company that focuses more on prose novels and book to film development. So this is going to be the direction I want, my career to kind of head in for that book to film angle, which I'm really excited about. And getting to write, comics in between novels and screenplays and all of this is so exciting. And I just, the novels do take a huge amount of bandwidth. So I'm trying to that's where I'm putting my focus right now.
And as we mentioned at the top, you have the little trip coming up, the sort of international tour to Paris. What's going on there for anyone that might be hearing this that is located there? Where can they find you, and what's going on that trip?
Yeah, so I was in touch with Album Comics, which is one of the biggest, comic distributor and stores in Paris. And they asked if I would be able to come, and I'm so excited. So I will be doing a signing on August the 29th, and I'll be there from around 6 till 8, and I have a bunch of comics to sign, and they're just wonderful. They're so excited, and I love the enthusiasm. And this is my first ever European signing, so I'm very excited for this. I haven't been back to Europe in like 18 years, so this is exciting for me. I have been to Paris before, but it's been a long time, so I'm sure it's changed quite a bit. But getting to being Canadian, obviously I speak a little French, so I'm excited to kind of, hopefully that comes back to me a little bit while I'm there. I'm sure my grammar is atrocious, so hopefully they understand me. But
they won't like it anyway. It's it's that
but
Parisian French compared to the Canadian French.
Right. I'm sure I'll be getting quite the nose upturn, saying, "What are you trying to say to me?" But
you'll get the looks. You'll get the looks that I get in Quebec because my French period is just horrible. So I just get the attitude there.
It's so funny because people don't realize, like, all of our everything in the stores here, like even if you go and buy groceries and you're getting ketchup or cereal boxes, everything is one side in English and the other side in French. And that's even across the entire country. So even in Ontario, we're not in Quebec, but everything here it's bilingual. So you will see, and you're exposed to more French than you would assume. But I actually went to school, though, when I was from elementary up until high school. I was in French immersion, where we do half the day learning in French. So getting to use that, it comes back to me more when I'm around it. And I remember the last time I was there, I was like, oh, I'm like thinking in French again. This is so weird. So that's cool. I'm excited.
Not being in French classes anymore, my French recollection is usually limited to food. So I remember flacon de mais, I remember pamplemousse. That's just foods are about all I've got.
You guys know way more than me, because the only thing I knew was fromage, and I'm like, what the hell am I saying? And everyone's like, you're saying cheese, and I'm like, oh, I love cheese.
That's a good word to know. I would say you have to know one word.
Pamplemousse sounds fancy. Pamplemousse sounds fancy, but it's just grapefruit.
And like citrouille, I remember that, like for the pumpkins. I was funny words. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. So I'll post all of that on my socials as well. If anyone is looking in Paris and wants to come see me, please come. I would love to meet you. But I'll post it on my website and up on my socials so you can find the information there.
You got any questions, Dunk?
No, I'm just like, Blake, we haven't spoken in a while. And like, you have all these exciting things going on. You have this, this new career path that you're aiming towards, and it's just, we can't wait to find out, how much further you're to go this route. Like, now you're gonna kind of get into like movies. Don't get too Hollywood on us.
Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, my first love is always novels too. So I'm hoping in the next maybe 6 months, I'll have a big announcement, and then, I'll be able to share more. But I always love running into you. I always see you at New York Comic Con, or, I'm hoping I'll see you again in New York. Are you going in October? Will you be there?
Yes, I'll be at a table with a very familiar friend of ours.
Ah, okay. Yes. That's good. I always see you like rising above everyone else, and I'm like, oh, there he is.
Oh, you see a floating head above everyone else's, just like just constantly just moving.
Yeah.
Stepping on children.
Oh, God.
They shouldn't have been standing there.
Get out of the way. So funny.
I'm looking forward to seeing you again, and all this news is exciting, and I personally want to thank you for being a friend of ours, and
you guys are
never really changing, just always been a really good person towards us. But also, I guess that's because you guys are Canadian, and in America here, we always have to worry about people.
Well, I appreciate your support so much. You guys are awesome, and I always love coming on and chatting, and I appreciate your fans and your support. It means so much to me. So I always love running into you at cons too.
And as always, from on my end or Robin's and anyone's end, especially on the Bat Force, but anything we could do to help anyone we know that could, help you with any of these things, we're more than happy to be there for you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That means the world to me. You guys are the best, and I appreciate just having me on today to talk about what's going on. And I love catching up with you and hearing your news too.
And as that's kind of you've been here a handful of times before, so I know we've done the lightning round stuff with you, but before we wrap up, maybe let's hit a couple of the things, just some random questions that Dunk, if you come up with anything. But I've got one that I know I've been asking people more recently, and I haven't been doing it near long enough to go back to the last time you were here, but this has been an interesting one. So if you had a magic wand that you could fix anything in the comic industry from a professional standpoint, all the aspects of you doing your job, if you could wave that wand and it would fix forever one aspect of the job for everyone in the industry, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Magic wands. I love these questions. I feel like, I think I was actually thinking of this the other day, and I think that comics used to be way more easily accessible. Back when I was, collecting I don't want to say my age here, but when I was younger, they used to have, these books at 7-Eleven or the grocery store. It was more of like an impulse buy. It was at the checkout. You could find them in Walmart, like anywhere you could find them. And it seems like now, because this has kind of gone away, it's more of a specialty item. It's, that easily accessible convenience of it isn't the same. And I think, also when it's the price point now, if we could make them back to, I don't know, $1.99, so that you could just, the kids could say to their mom, can I just grab one and put it in the cart? And she's like, sure, no problem. Like at every checkout counter, I think we'd have more people, being able to afford comics again and read them. And maybe, I don't know, maybe is this like if they were printed in newsprint and it was cheaper to produce them? I don't know how to fix that, but I think that there's just so much we're competing with now when there's like manga and video games and streaming services. So we really have to make it more accessible again, just so that everyone has the opportunity to enjoy the work and get attached to it and then want to be a part of that universe. I think the cheap and accessible have to go together hand in hand. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's an interesting notion, making the floppies more affordable. So one thing that some of the publishers have done recently, I know DC is doing it, Image is doing it, is those the trade paperbacks that are more the size of manga books. You know,
Hmm.
they're in that scale. And the really cool thing about that is the price point at the, you know, the savings on how much paper it takes. So you can go out right now and get the new size printing of a book like Watchmen, all 12 issues, Canadian. I think it's $13
Wow. Yeah.
for
See?
that whole book. So if they could do something like that, maybe in the floppies, yeah, getting people
Hmm.
to get on board with grabbing comics. And yeah, because like you mentioned, if getting a generation into collecting comics is how you lead to the next generation that wants to write and illustrate comics.
Exactly. Exactly. So I don't know. There's no easy fix here, but that's what I would do with my magic wand. And spinner racks. I want more spinner racks everywhere. I used to love those.
Yeah.
I definitely have a question that I'm going to start asking myself. Being, I go to a lot of cons, and so do you guys, and we mentioned collecting and all that. There's a segment I wanted to start, and it's like collectibles mom threw away.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
what's a part of your collection or something that like your parents threw out without your knowing that you wish you still had?
I already know this answer. I had two Cabbage Patch Kid dolls, which were my favorite things. One was named Zara. And one was named, what was her name? Ainsley. And I haven't seen them in forever. So yeah, those two Cabbage Patch Kids were really important to my childhood. And now when I see, like if you see things that make you nostalgic, for sure, I still hold a grudge against my parents. Like, why didn't you hold on to that? So now for my kids, let me just tell you what I have done. In my garage, we have these industrial sized Tupperware bins that are like, I don't even know what they're supposed to hold, but that you could like basically hit it with a car and it won't like budge. And I'm putting all of their toys, stacking them with their names on it. Like I've got a whole wall, especially my son, because he went through a whole Star Wars phase and like, the Beyblade phase and all of these things that were big toys and a big part of his life. So I'm just holding on to them. And then when he's, in his 20s or whatever, if he wants to get rid of them, he can. But then he's not going to hold a grudge against me for getting rid of them. Let me tell you.
That is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect answer to the magic wand question.
Yeah.
When it comes to collectibles, like just have it tucked away in these massive bins so nothing can happen to them. Yeah, that's something I always think about because on my end, again, I have so many things besides my Pokemon cards.
Pokemon cards, yep. Yeah. I have all this
And
stuff.
the final thing that I'll hit you with before we let you get out of here. Now, I used to like going with something kind of current, but I know for a lot of creatives, there isn't much time to spend reading. But I'll broaden it to just all time. One comic recommendation that if people haven't read, what would you say people should absolutely read?
Oh my goodness. I think one that recently kind of caught my attention again, where I was thinking, I want to go back and read these again. And I mean, there's so many, but like I would say like Spawn is one where I was like, I really liked the action, the art is fantastic. I mean, you know, there's so many. I don't even know, like Kick Ass. I love Mark Miller's work. I don't know. I'm just thinking The Watchmen I pulled out the other day. I have like this really great absolute edition of The Watchmen, which was fantastic. What else did I read the other day? Some Chew by John Layman. I mean, there's just so many. There's so much good stuff. I can't pick. I don't know.
If I can give a recommendation for something current, maybe when you're on the flight over to Paris or something, if you've got some time to read something brand new, check out the first issue of The Power Fantasy from Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard.
Okay.
I guarantee it's going to be in the Eisner nominations next year. I already look forward to voting for it. it is going to be something special. Issue 1 just came out last week.
Okay.
And yeah, everyone, like no one should miss that book.
Amazing. Well, that's such a great recommendation. So thank you. I will. I'll check it out.
Dunk,
Awesome.
got anything for us?
Recommendation wise?
Yeah, whatever. Or a question or anything before we wrap up.
I'm like, recommendation wise, I don't know. I'm still stuck on Department of Truth. That's like the most modern thing. I can't stop reading.
Right.
I'm actually up to date on that. As a Batman guy, being the Bat Force, and everyone knowing that I'm a big Batman guy, I'm behind on Batman, but I'm up to date with Department of Truth.
Amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
Since you mentioned Batman, though, because he does play a big role in how this came about. Absolute Power that Mark Waid is doing right now, that's insane too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for these recommendations, guys. I'll pick them up. And I want to say again, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Barbarella issue 1 is October 2nd from Blake Northcott, Anna Morozova, Dynamite Comics. Anything you want to tell people about Barbarella before we wrap up?
Nope, just you can find everything. I'm posting a bunch of the previews and the art online. You can find it all at blakenorthcott.com or on my social pages for Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, or I guess I should say X. But yeah, I'm going to be around, and then I'll also be attending New York Comic Con. So
can't wait.
You guys there. Yeah.
Yeah, and New York Comic Con will be right after the first issue comes out. So pick up your copies and go get them signed.
For sure.
All right. Well, October 2nd, Barbarella #1. That was Blake Northcott. This was Bat Force Radio. We will see you next time.